commissions. And when you're at a low, it is very difficult for you to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be difficult for you to, do a lot of other things, meet your expenses.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you have a balanced kind of a compensation where you look at probably a 70%, 80% as a base salary, and probably 30% as a variable. And it should be clearly defined as, it should be performance based.
Okay.
It should definitely be performance based so that a large chunk of this particular compensation is taken away by the sales guys.
Okay. So let me use that it has to be performance based. It essentially means that we cannot just go by this and say that okay, I like your place and I give you more commission, and I don't like your place and I give you less commission. That is something which is the depth of the entire structure. So essentially what we are talking about is having a very elaborate and a very defined, transparent system of what are the parameters on which I am going to measure the sales guys, and then I have a very robust system of measuring against those parameters so that those guys know that we are being measured in the right way. If I am doing good, I am getting good. If I am doing less, I am getting less. So Anish, coming to you, what should be these parameters? Performance is very word, but when we are talking about sales compensation and linking the variable to the performance, what are the parameters of performance you think we should actually take into this plan against which we should measure sales?
Right, so I think there are largely two parts to it. One is if the sales guy is actually more an individual contributor, and the second is at a managerial level. Again, given that there are a lot of startups here, there are different stages at which you want to compensate differently. So when you're opening a new geo, or when you're opening a new vertical, you obviously can't compensate on a percentage of commission. It has to be on number of logos. It has to be on how many doors has he been able to open with. Right? So similarly, it also I'd say at an early stage, the right thing to do is not compensate as a percentage of revenue, but compensate more on opening doors. And once you're at a more mature stage, you have like 5-6 customers in that market, 50 of them are referenceable. At that stage, you want to get to a stage of actually moving into 2-3 main things, like you either go with revenue or you go with margin.
Yeah.
If you are a high margin business, then you say a percentage of revenue from that client. If you are a low margin business, then you say a percentage of margin. That could be one metric. The second could be like the product mix. Like as a company, we know that some of our products are more sticky than the others. Yeah. So we hence say at least 40% of revenue must come from these products, and 20% of the commission is linked to that. So some people do that on higher margin products, having the share there. So that's for the individual sales guys. For more of a sales manager, it would probably be on how well do the guys do.
Yeah.
If you have 3 sales guys, we typically look at about if the 3 guys hit 80% of their targets, then this guy gets 100% of his commission. And that could be one metric. Another metric could be marketing link. How many are you able to get build a good pipeline, feed a good pipeline. But generally, what I've seen is that if it is aggressive sales guys, they will want a larger commission. They will, if it's good sales guys, they will fight for their commission.
Yeah.
And so in some cases where we've actually wanted to really hire the guys, we've also given them like 2 quarters of commission guarantee.
Okay.
So just build a pipe and you have your commission.
Yeah. Okay. So Anish, you touch upon a little bit about in the countries out in West possibly you can have as high as 50% salary being into commission would be linked to the performance, and 50% only is something which is fixed, right? And while in India possibly culturally we are attuned to having a much more fixed salary and less of commission based salary. So according to you, let's be coming to you. According to you, what is the prevalent practice in India as of now? And what, according to you, should be the ratio between the fixed salary and the commission?
In India, it's a little more traditional, where people would want a higher fixed salary than the compensation being more towards commissions.
Yeah.
So typically, I think a balance could be at 70-30 or an 80-20 would be an ideal ratio. And to upon what Anish said, collections also should be one important thing on which the salesperson should be incented on. So you could look at 70-30.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a slightly different view on that.
Yeah.
You know, I think internationally 50-50 is a norm. You know, and if someone wants like a lower variable, then I think you shouldn't hire the guy. You know, at least that's my view on it. So the other side is I would actually not link collections to the sales guy, especially in a SaaS kind of a business where you have to collect every month or every quarter or something like that. Because you want your sales guys to be focused on selling. You know, you can at max say the first check has to come from them, which is the typical case with a license sale. But in a SaaS sale where you have to collect every month or every quarter, you simply want your, you know, your account managers, or not really sales guys, they're more farmers, to do the collection piece. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just to add on this, I'm just telling my own experience that while you have like a product sale where when you are making the sell, you actually are making the delivery as well, and you are actually collecting also, which is sort of assured. And when you are making a SaaS sell, again the service is available online. When once you have sort of delivered the service, you know, the job to do is actually collection. But when you are actually getting into enterprise solutioning, you know, there is also a big difference between the time when you sell and the time when you have delivered the service. Is a period of 2 or 3 months, and you customize the entire offering and then they deliver. And what we have is purely my own personal experience that whether the sell you have done, whether that is a clean sell, that is it executable or was it just an order book which was never converted to revenue, that also sometimes is a factor which needs to be considered when we are actually making the sales commission plan. You cannot just compensate the sales by only an order book, and order book which cannot be executed and actually getting a cash to the company. Fantastic, great. So, Anish, I think you have touched upon this, that culturally you are saying that it is more in the US and I would say the other parts of the world it will be more 50-50, and while in India you are saying it will be more conservative towards 80-20 or 70-30. That's what exactly you would like another commission structure to be. Okay. So now coming back to my previous question, what are the possible risks of I would say having a very high component of commission? I'm actually countering Anish now, right? That you are saying it has to be 50-50, and if you don't have 50-50 in your variable pay, basically you should not have a sales guy. Is there a risk into this approach? Can it actually, instead of doing good to the company and getting more dollars to the company, actually can backfire and resulting into rather demotivation of sales guys and actually leading to exit? So
the whole incentive scheme, can actually even turn into a lack. It depends on successful people may become complacent, and they may be while they may be very highly motivated, but then there is a tendency to get complacent. And then the reverse is also true. People who are not as successful will tend to become highly demotivated. So it's very important that a reporting manager looks at appraisal systems. There is going to be reviews and feedback such that the sales team is always highly motivated. So that's very important. So if you have a very high component, which is going to be, let's say you go with a very high component which is going to be function based.
Yeah.
It is the duty of the manager to ensure that the motivation levels are on.
Okay.
Such that you get the maximum output from your sales team.
So essentially defining the framework of commissions and then calculating and just paying them month on month is not the only thing to do. That is possibly the basic framework. But then based on the results of that framework, it's the manager's duty to make sure that while the staff performers are always, on the run and they are getting their dollars, but the levers are also being constantly, being given the necessary leadership. And I would say, yeah,
again, I have a very different view on it. Okay, so I mean, if the guy is not delivered for 6 months, if he's not making his commission, might as well let him go. He'll find something else to do somewhere. Okay. So I think what needs to be clear on a sales commission is you have to make sure that it is achievable. Okay. If you are an early stage company and want a cost of sale of 20% and want that guy to sell like 100K, that won't work. Because you might get a good guy, but that guy will realize in 6 months that it's not working out for him again. So as long as your structure is right, is something which, can actually be delivered to, as long as, and we've actually in the past gone back and corrected our commission structure. We felt we were very aggressive for the first year.
Yes.
Actually, 4 months down, government said this market is going to take longer, corrected. So your sales guys need to be extremely motivated. And that's extremely key. And if they're not delivering even after you have like a good structure in place, then you should let them go, because what I've generally seen in at least my past experiences, you have, every sales guy sells himself very well. So I mean, it's extremely difficult.
That's a part of the job, right?
Who's going to click and who's not going to click. Right? So, hence, you give them a period of like 6 to 9 months, see if it works. And you actually got very good guys from Oracle who have not been able to work for us, but have worked anywhere else. Nothing against the guy. There are a lot of stuff that needs to click for it to work. So it's sometimes better to actually let them go. If they're not making their commissions after 6 or 9 months, they'll actually find a better job somewhere else and they'll be more happy after that.
Yeah. So, it's just a connected question to this. In any company, and I would like to, just ask you if that is your experience as well, that if let's say you have a X number of sales guys, maybe 10 sales guys, you will have 2 or 3 staff performers, in general, and you will have 2 or 3 guys who are actual laggards and who are not able to just click, right? Possibly they are good, but they are not able to click for your product, your company. And there is a big 4 or 5, sales guys in the middle who are just in the middle. They will just be achieving their number, by hope or by crook, they'll achieve their number. So, will it be, and I think at the end of the day, the company has to take everybody along. Possibly the laggard, you will give them a chance for 3 months or 6 months, and then you will let them go. But there is a big middle range as well, and they are the ones who actually become the backbone to keep on, getting some numbers to see all the time. So, do you think that the commission structure should be different for different types of sales guys, because their motivations, like the staff performer, would always like to have more and more incentives, and that is what kicks him to sell more and more, while the middle guy will be happy if his quarterly bonus or the quarterly 100% or 90% of the variable CTC is received by him on a quarterly basis. At this point, his EMIs are secured. So, according to you, should the structure be different for different types of sales guys?
I don't think so. I really think it largely has to be similar. At least 70-80% of the structure has to be similar, unless you have a sales guy who you're expecting to do 70% sales and 30% account management, or the keeping in touch together, stuff like that. But I strongly believe that unless, if it's people at the same level, if it's individual sales folks in one geography which is equally mature, or in one vertical which is equally mature, you should have very similar sales structures, compensation or commission structures across, because when they like the art, very quickly, people get to know that, that guy is getting a 9% of the deal size, I'm getting only a 6% of deal size. Until you have like really clear reasons for it, that's a big discussion point. That's a big reason why people get demotivated.
Yes.
So you will be giving the message that it's okay it's okay if you're not doing well.
Correct.
Because if all of them are in the same, if all of them are peers, and if you're okay with some people doing very well and okay with a few of them not doing well, you're going to give a wrong message to the sales team. So it cannot be like that.
Okay. So essentially the whole system has to be very, very transparent. If somebody is doing good, let him become hero in front of everybody, and if somebody is not doing good, let him become zero in front of everybody. Possibly the social pressure will kick in and let everybody.
Yeah, and also you can try out some different kind of workshops so that you improve the skill sets of the others. But you can't have a demarcation if they're all the same.
Okay. So other than on different notes, so sales compensation is obviously the key parameter, and which actually form the basis of keeping a sales guy happy. But is there something more than the sales compensation, the salary or the money part of it? Sometimes the award or a pat on the back or a letter from the CEO, sometimes those things actually click more, especially the guys who are high performers. So what, according to you, Lakshmi, are many other things which companies can do, to keep the sales guys happy, other than just having a good sales compensation?
One thing which is very important is absolutely no favoritism in the team, and deterrents like a bad product or a bad solution, a bad atmosphere at the office, unethical practices, and no belief in the sales team. So these are some of the deterrents which you will have to take care. And recognition is very, very important for a salesperson. If they are doing well, they have to be recognized. So probably, like you said, a mail from a CEO declaring the employee of the month, or sponsor them for some workshops, foreign holiday, things like this will definitely motivate a sales team. Apart from the salary and the incentives, what they are compensated for. So these things are very, very important. That you give them a very good atmosphere, you give them the independence to work, you allow them to take decisions, you know. These are some of the things which a salesperson would definitely want apart from
Absolutely. So Anish, I think question which is very, very relevant to the audience because here were startups and and someday they're looking for some M&A activity or acquisition or going for an IPO. So essentially ESOP is a one big tool which is used by startups, especially a startup with a growth trajectory to show a big moolah maybe 5 years down the line, right, for the company. So according to you, is ESOP a good tool to compensate sales guys and show them some dreams and retain them based on that?
Absolutely. I think it's very important to have your sales guys follow you for a longer time, especially in an enterprise sales scenario where it takes 6 months for the guy to get his first deal or build a pipe or something like that. So we at least, especially in international markets where ESOPs have a value. In India, people don't regard ESOPs so much. But we've seen that to be a major motivation factor for good people to stick around. As they see the company grow, they know the value of the company is growing, they know that they have stock in it, the stock value is growing. So that creates a large variation. So we actually have a performance-linked ESOP thing for sales guys. And I think that's a good thing to do.
Excellent. Yeah, again, I will share my own view that my company actually was a PE funded company till last year and finally got acquired by a global major last year. And the same ESOP, and I used to hear, 3 years back, 4 years back, okay, I have a piece of paper which is ESOP and I don't know what value this paper carries, but last year when actually that acquisition happened and the same ESOP become almost for some people actually was 10 times the money which the paper was for, what was written in the paper. So everybody suddenly knew what was the worth of that paper. So for this community of startups and founders, I think it's very, very important that if you're something the growth phase, then you actually educate the sales guys about the value of the ESOP. And that ESOP tool can actually be used to hire some very potential good people from larger companies who you think are important for you because they can make much, much more money compared to what they would traditionally make in a salary-driven organization. So thank you very much. I think we had only 30 minutes of time and we are running out of time. So just to summarize, we talked about that, for a company where we want to have a big top line, we want to have a big bottom line, especially in the growth phase, we want to depend on sales guys to make sure the product goes into different customer segments. And it is very, very important that our sales guys are happy. They are getting you more and more logos, they are getting into upselling, cross-selling, all the time running into the field to get you business. And that is why how to compensate the sales guys is very important. One key thing, a learning of all of us, whatever plan we make has to be quantitative, has to be very transparent, has to be communicated to sales all the time. And yes, as Anish said, it has to be changed. It does not need not be static. Every quarter, please review it, and if you think it's not working, let's change the thing next quarter and then see what plays. And over time, you will be just good. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunil, Anish, as well as Madhavishni. I know 30 minutes is not, it is very short time to summarize everything and then share the knowledge.